Welcome back to Survive The Fright, our horror movie podcast where we are watching the Scream franchise as part of our annual effort for James to force me to watch a series of films I would otherwise not watch. Today, we are talking about Scream 2, 1997, directed by Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williamson, starring, some returning faces, David Arquette, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, as well as some kind of new faces, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jamie Kennedy, and Jada Pinkett and Liev Schreiber.
Doug, Timothy Oliphant, Jeremy O'Connell. Okay, this is a star-studded 90s lineup, okay? Scream brings the fucking 90s
They bring the heat. Also, before Omar Epps did House, so like he just wasn't famous yet. And that's kind of crazy. He's just in this, which is kind of wild. So, James, Scream 2, Scream 2nd, Scream Duos, that's what all the kids call it. At a higher level, before we get into segments.
Yes.
What was your vibe? How did you feel?
David, loved it. Loved it.
Right?
No, dude,
Yeah.
it's like I find the Scream movies really like fun. I love that it's horror films that poke fun at themselves. In this one especially, they went hard on not just making fun of horror movies, but making fun of sequels, which I was absolutely on board for.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Big fan.
Okay. I agree. I'm not sure that the making fun of sequels lands for me. That's a personal taste thing. We'll get into it, but there was some stuff where I was like, okay, we're doing that again. Like, I don't know.
We will get into it. We will get into it. Yes. Now, obviously, Survive the Fright, for those who don't know, our October series, our annual series, obviously, if you haven't watched the other ones. If you haven't watched all of the other episodes in the series, please go deep dive, enjoy hours
you've not
of content.
listened to the 237 episodes we've done over the last decade? That's crazy.
We're doing a deep dive into all the Scream movies. We're covering a Scream movie each week. This is all building to a Halloween night crescendo where we're going to be doing it live. But David, before we get into chat and Scream, before we
chit and chat it up,
before we figure out how we survive the fright, before we Nosferat, we're gonna play a little game.
Hey James, that last one? Not so sure about that one.
David, I have two real horror movies for you here, and then I have one that I have created in my mind's eye. Okay,
very good. In the James Mind Palace.
Exactly. Welcome to my Mind Palace. It's a freak show in there.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to give you some horror movie titles.
Okay.
You're going to hit me with which one you think is the faker. Which piece of shit Papers, Please style snuck his way into this fucking lineup? You know what I mean?
It's a fake or fiction, baby. No, wait, fiction. Hang on.
Oh, yeah. What's like a good title for this segment?
Fuck. Fiction. Well, because films are fictions, that's difficult too. Fact or fake? That's terrible.
Film or fake?
Film or fake is good. Yeah.
Something we can workshop it, and we can. And the good news is we can dub over this. Yeah. It'll be perfect.
Fic fiction.
Okay, you have to be very careful about what words you choose to cover your mouth when you say them, because that sounded like dick fiction or something, and I don't know what that is. I don't know what dick fiction is.
I thought I kind of nailed it first time out the gate, so that's crazy.
I'm going to give you 3 titles. You're going to tell me which 2 are real and which one I invented in my mind's eye. Okay?
James, I know you so well, this will be a breeze. I know your imagination. I'm in your head, brother. I'm in your head, mate.
First of all, who let you in? Get out!
I broke in.
I got him to admit it on camera. Ladies and gentlemen of the court.
Rookie error. Oh, yeah.
In an attempt to theme these or make it easier for you, whichever you feel better about, I've themed them. I've grouped them together. Okay? This first one, A Nightmare on Elm Street. So these are all Nightmare on Elm Street films, or are they?
Okay.
Film or fake?
Like I said last episode, my exposure to Nightmare on Elm Street is the Rick and Morty dream episode where he has penises for hands. So
still haven't seen it. David, Nightmare on Elm Street, here are the titles.
Okay.
The Dream Master, Real Nightmares, or The Nightmare Child. Which movie is my mind's eye? Film or fake?
I think the last one's a James invention.
Ding! Yes, that is
Let's
correct.
go!
Wow, dude, out of the gate, you're gonna pick me off the bat, first one.
He went long and he threw the ball in the air, and I picked the intercept. No dramas, no issues, no dramas, no issues. Fucking check yourself, James. You come in here so confident. I'm going to goof on David. I'm going to show him up in front of his friends and family and the internet. You know what fucking happened? Fucking eggs on your face, my friend.
Yep. This is
so embarrassing.
Perfect. This is a wild amount of confidence for a man who has gotten one question correct. I'm sorry.
Let me just check my calculator. James, 1 out of 1 is how many percent?
Okay. I think it's... Go fuck yourself. David, all right. You pegged it out of the gate.
Can I explain why?
Please do.
So two of those had Nightmare in the title, and I know it's called Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, in my head, I was like, either it's a scenario where both actual films are going to be called Nightmare, in which case your fake would be obvious, or what you try and do is produce a title that made me think that the one that doesn't have Nightmare is the outlier.
So that still doesn't, I don't know how through that reasoning you can, and I want hands above the keyboard at all times, okay? I don't want to accuse you of cheating, okay?
I was literally holding my hands up counting them, so.
With the level and the degree of shit talk that you have brought, I wouldn't put it past you that you're, hey Siri, which one is it? Okay? Siri, cool it! No one's talking to you. God damn it. Apologies to anyone watching this on a speaker and just had their Siri activated.
Hey Alexa, now the thing that you have to understand, James, is I would simply never cheat because my ego couldn't handle it.
Right.
Like if I didn't win for real, it would break me.
For sure. No cheater would ever say that, obviously.
Definitely.
Okay. 1 for 1. This next one, Friday the 13th movies. Okay.
There's more. Okay. Sorry, Friday the 13th.
Put them together.
Now, Friday the 13th are films about sort of the end of the week when that's also on the 13th, when a Friday happens on the 13th of a month. And the crucial thing about Friday the 13th as a franchise is they all happen on a Friday. I believe. I could be wrong.
Look, I'm not going to say anything because, again, I don't want any information that I give you to sort of lead you into figuring out which one is the fake and which ones are the films. Okay?
Hands above keyboard.
Friday the 13th, we have Jason Takes Manhattan.
Okay.
Jason Kills Again.
Okay.
And Jason Goes to Hell.
I know Jason Takes Manhattan is a real film.
Okay.
The other two are a complete mystery. Give them to me again.
Okay, so we've got Jason Kills Again and Jason Goes to Hell.
Fuck. I don't know what Jason's deal is. So I'm not really sure how to like sort of consider whether he would be able to enter hell or not. Like I'm assuming he's a killer, but like that doesn't give you automatic entry to hell. Like hell has pretty high standards, I hear. They wouldn't let me in.
I think hell has I think it's pretty sort of like low standards to get into hell. I think it's the other way around. I think Jizo sort of like is a bit of a gatekeeper on that one.
You think he's got high standards? Yeah. I think it's the middle one of the three that you came up with.
So you think it's Jason Kills Again or Jason Goes to Hell?
Oh, see, I'm torn because Jason Kills Again feels like the laziest title on the planet. But Jason Goes to Hell doesn't sound like a film that would get made.
Also,
right?
I will say, one of them is literally called Jason X. So, Jason Kills Again, while being a lazy title, not the laziest of the Friday the 13th.
But would you make both fakes the third in the list? That seems like a mistake. So I think it's the second one.
He's getting meta now. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the second. I think it's the middle child that's the fake.
Okay,
Jason Kills Again.
Jason Kills Again. That is correct. That is my mind's eye. Doug, when you came in here today and you said that you were in my head, I didn't think that you actually were. Okay, and I'm terrified. And please back off just a little bit. You know, give me some space. Wow,
That's me in your head, brother. I'm accepting you.
That's the screenshot they're going to use in the court case. Okay, that was terrifying. We got two more to go. Halloween, the Halloween movies. Again, I kept these ones a little bit more easy. So anyway.
And so the Halloween franchise, the thing you have to know about it, James, is they take place in October.
True. Around.
And people say that
season.
I don't know horror, so fucking check yourself.
Okay. The Halloween movies that we have: The Shape of Fear, The Curse of Michael Myers, The Season of the Witch.
Fuck. Oh no, I'm so out of my depth here.
He's thinking it over.
The Season of the Witch, that's a song. That could also be a film.
The Lady of the Lake, also a song. Unrelated, just wanted to throw it in there.
That he's trying to throw me off my game because I got him 2 for 2. You little rotten son of a bitch.
Well, I got to use something. You're getting meta on. You're not even going off of titles at some point. You're like dissecting how I've laid them out. Okay, weird. Okay,
I'm gonna enter the zone if you wouldn't mind reading them back to me, please.
Okay. The Shape of Fear, The Curse of Michael Myers, The Season of the Witch.
The Curse of Fear is the fake one.
Sorry, which one? You mixed 2 titles there. You've got The Shape of Fear and you've got The Curse of Michael Myers. And I meant
The Shape of Fear.
The Shape of Fear you think is the fake?
Because Season of the Witch sounds like it's made up, which makes me think that it's not made up and you've thrown it in there because it's ridiculous.
Okay, yeah.
So and Curse feels right because Michael Myers is like a preternatural creature by the time that series goes on. So I think it's the first one.
They do also call him the Shape of Fear, so it could be any.
Wasn't he a little grub in a sewer at one point? Like, I mean, shape? Come on, guys.
Think you're thinking of Pennywise.
Yeah. What am I, a horror guy?
Yeah. So, final answer, you're locking in
Shape of Fear, right?
Shape of Fear. First one? The Shape of Fear is correct. Also, The Mind's Eye, dude. 3 for 3 on this.
Locked in, and you can see hands up. All I'm doing is picking up my beer. If anything, that's making me worse at it. So you're welcome.
Wow. Okay. Last one. This one, more difficult because you're not even going to fucking know. Dario Argento. Do you know who that is?
James, it's a famous
Yep.
horror novelist?
Director, maybe?
Oh, James, that's
You
cut that.
Yeah.
James, that's a famous horror director that I'm so familiar with, and this will be so easy for me.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So
obviously not going to throw in Suspiria, anything like that. That's going to be too easy.
You would never, because that would be such a easy one for me to know.
Here are our films. I might have to actually send these to you because
just for the listener, yeah, you might have to put them in Discord. Just for the listener, James, Dario Argento is a horror director. This isn't me asking. This is me clarifying for the audience.
Yes.
These are all films directed by the same fella.
I'll send you the list, but I'll read them out. So, the Dario Argento movies that we've got are The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Whisper in the Crimson Fog, or Four Flies on Grey Velvet.
These are, can I just say, I don't care which one's fake. These are delightful titles.
Oh, you like them?
Rule.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like weird and abstract and like specific.
Okay. Also,
just before we go on this,
it's sort of like a secret little compliment sort of hidden in there for me as well because I came up with one of them. So thank you.
Well, you copied someone very talented. So let's not fucking.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I was editing a manuscript before this for a friend of mine, and one of the comments I kept coming up with in the prose was like specificity, and these all feel very specific, except of course for the middle one, which is clearly fake. Whispers in the Crimson Fog is clearly made up.
That is dude. That is a clean sweep. 4 for 4.
Let's fucking go. Yeah, I'm sorry. Come at me, bro. Can I tell you how I got there?
Yes, please.
The bird with the crystal plumage is a description of. I don't know if I should tell you this because it's giving you ammo for next time to like route around me.
Okay.
But this is, this is going to become really competitive by the end of this coverage. The bird with the crystal plumage is an object with a modification that doesn't make sense, right? A bird with crystal plumage, is that a color? Is it physically crystal? Like, it's kind of abstract. It's kind of art housey imagery. 4 flies on gray velvet is also abstract, right? 4 flies is like a weirdly specific number. Flies don't really come in like discrete numbers. It's either 1 fly or it's many. And gray velvet is not a particularly standout detail. So when you combine them, it's like you have weird abstract thing plus mundane thing.
Okay.
The bird, mundane, crystal plumage, abstract. And then yours, which is whispers, sort of noun, in the crimson fog. And crimson fog isn't particularly abstract. Like, crimson fog is sort of, it feels like what I would call a horror film because it's like an obvious thing to say.
Okay, right, yes.
So,
yeah.
That's how I got there. And I'm just saying that I know the works of this guy better than you do, whose name I definitely remember.
Okay, well, I quickly put together a 5th one purely because I'm filled with a white hot rage that you're going to
I would be pissed off too because 4 for 4 is pretty impressive.
So these are this is a random collection of horror films here. I'm just going to hit you with them.
There's no theme?
There's no theme on this one.
This one's a bonus round. It doesn't count to my score. This is bullshit.
It's a bonus round.
This is bullshit.
This is for all of the marbles.
No, this is I won. This is for James's pride. This is James' pride recovery.
Exactly. David has done a 4 for 4 clean sweep. This is what we call a pride point. Okay. If you win it, you crush me, and it is the beginning of the show. So do you want to do that this early on? You know? Up to you. You decide.
You realize you just gave me an out. If I get it wrong, I'm like, well, obviously that was on purpose.
I'll use it to sort of like put an asterisk next to the 4 of 4. You know, I'll sort of slowly pick it apart over time. Anyway, okay. So, a final one for the pride point. We have The Greasy Strangler, The Sorority House Killings, and Dude Bro Party Massacre 3.
Oh my god!
Okay.
Go again.
So we have The Greasy Strangler, The Sorority House Killings, Dude Bro Party Massacre 3.
I so badly want the last one to be real.
Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. Well, you would have to assume then that there are at least 2 other Dude Bro Party Massacre films.
That's where you're. Oh, did you post them in the chat? I was gonna sort of. But you say that, but then the guy that made Inscription is making a game which is like Pony Ride Horse Club 2, and it's a horror game, but there's no there's no first game. So it makes, it doesn't necessarily imply that, that's a classic horror thing. Is like, we're going to do a little goof 'em up of the formula of the thing. The Greasy Strangler seems lazy enough to be real, but also greasy is a word that I think you would use, as is the Sorority House Killings, because in Scream 2, it's set in a sorority house. So it feels to me that I'm sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place where it's between the sorority.
Also in Scream, I will say that there are dudes and bros. Parties do happen, and killings, massacres, if you will, do happen at those parties.
Fuck. What you've just done there is filthy and dirty, and that's a trick that what you've just done there is, because I was so sure and now you've thrown me off my game. But here's the thing. I was so sure every other time and I was right. I think
true. You got to go with your gut. I think really is sort of like, what do you feel is the wrong film?
I'm gonna do an exercise where I'm gonna cover my eyes and I'm gonna uncover them. And then the one that feels right is what I'm gonna say. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. The Sorority House Killings.
You think is the fake film?
I think so.
That is also the fake movie, dude. What? Dude,
are you fucking kidding?
Okay, I need to. All this is a sign that I came way too. I came, dude. These were underhand fucking throws. You know what I mean? I should have come out here pitching from the mound with some heat, and I came out fucking playing t-ball. Okay,
flat on the mat. You tried to hit the pitcher, and I hit a home run, son.
Okay, I will. That's 5 for 5. To the viewers, I will be redoubling my efforts. Next week, we come to fucking murder David in this competition.
I'm just too powerful. Now I'm sweating with excitement. I'm just going to quickly take my hoodie off if that's okay.
Yeah, dude.
You
Chuck a fan on. This guy. 5 for 5. I knew I did him too. I did him too easy.
Oh, sorry.
You know?
That's what it was. You were being too polite. Not that I'm just that well read and that well versed in who you are as a person.
Well,
you were being too nice.
I did pick 3 of the biggest horror movie franchises in cinema history. So yeah, I did. Okay.
2 of which I knew nothing about.
I should have come with like obscure Thai horror movie titles. You know, okay, I'm not gonna. Don't worry about what I'm gonna get up to. Okay, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna redouble my efforts. You're gonna get fucked next week.
I was gonna say, don't do me any favors.
Yep.
Go back to the lab and figure your shit out because that was embarrassing.
Oh! Wow.
So, that was embarrassing.
A crazy opener to this episode, which does parallel quite well into the opener of Scream 2. Another crazy opening.
James, that's such a great segue. Let's hear the summary for Scream 2 1997. If you're ready and seated and ready, James, I'll deliver it to you.
I'm spooked. I'm ready to go.
Okay, here we go. Here's the summary. This is a long one. Be prepared. There's a lot going on in this film.
Yes.
At an early screening of Stab, a film based on Gale Weathers' book detailing the events of the first Scream film, a young couple are beset by men in Reaper outfits. They're laughing and hooting and hollering, pretending to stab each other. It's all in good fun. Amid the chaos and testosterone, college seniors Maureen and Phil are murdered. The next morning, Sydney Prescott wakes up to a crank call from a fake ghost face in her dorm room. Her roommate Haley assures her it's nothing. And so we rejoin Sydney among the return of a copycat killer, and we meet our key players. Sydney's boyfriend, the all-varsity Derrick. Randy Meeks, love struck for Sydney all the way from Woodsboro. And Derrick's smoke show best friend Mickey. As the college is thrown into chaos by the killings, old faces emerge. Gale is here to report on the story, competing with a local talent, Debbie Salt, and our very own deputy Dewy Riley is back. Dewy with express purpose to protect Sydney, Gale with her usual exploitation angle. So too is Cotton Weary, the innocent man Sydney pointed the finger at for her mother's rape and murder. While everyone attends a party, Cece Cooper is murdered at Omega Beta Zeta. Come on, guys. As the students filter out to ogle at the body, Sydney finds herself alone. Before her boyfriend Derrick can reach her, Sydney is attacked by Ghostface. Sydney escapes the killer in a fraught melee that leaves Derrick suspiciously injured. The next morning, Derrick makes an ass of everyone, including the audience, when he performs the Tom Cruise love feeling song from Top Gun, and like in the original Top Gun film, I want to crawl out of my own skin. He gives Sydney his necklace, a plot crucial detail, trust me, don't forget about the necklace. At the police station, Gale performs some Sherlock Holmes magic and realizes that the new masked killer is targeting ciphers that reflect the Woodsboro murders. Sydney is assigned agents to protect her, who barely intervene when Cotton tries to convince Sid to appear as a TV show with him in one of the creepiest exchanges on film I've seen in a long time. It's just a man invading a woman's space. It is awful. Randy, our resident horror movie buff, outlines his sequel rules, but zeroes in on one requirement. The killer must be someone Sydney knows. Dun dun dun. Minutes later, Randy is killed in broad daylight. Sun sets over Windsor campus. Sydney attends rehearsal for Agamemnon, where she plays the lead, Cassandra, the target for Zeus's vengeance after her defiance during the prior part of the Oresteia play. And yes, Agamemnon is the second play in the Oresteia trilogy. How curious, this is also the second film in Scream. During her escape from Zeus's gaze, Sydney sees a Reaper mask among the actors. But it all comes to naught when the play is stopped and there's no killer here that we see. Elsewhere, Gale and Dewy review crowd tapes in a lecture theatre. Things get hot and heavy before the Reaper arrives. They flee and Gale watches on as Dewy is slain in front of her. Double elsewhere, our varsity man Derrick is abducted by his frat. I guess it's just a fraternity, right? Like, I wasn't sure what to call it. Like, his frat mates, his frat.
It's like his frat bros, you know.
Yeah, his frat bros abduct him for a party to celebrate / shame him giving his necklace to Sydney. The party is in the theater. That will be important in a second. Later that night, the agents escort Sid and Haley to a safe house, but they make it all of 2 blocks before they are attacked by the Reaper. The agents are slain and the car crashes. The killer is unconscious, but Sid and Haley are in the back of the cop car, unable to leave. In a fraught, sweaty, heart-pounding sequence, Sid and Haley clamber through the passenger barrier and one by one clamber over the unconscious killer through the window to safety. I was so stressed I tried to physically climb off my seat. Haley is killed in the street. Sid flees back to the theater for our final showdown. And yep, here's the unconscious Derrick strung up on a cross. Enter stage left, not pursued by a bear, Mickey, who reveals he is the killer. He goads Sid, "Is your boyfriend Billy come again? Can you trust him?" As Sid wrestles with the idea, Mickey shoots Derrick dead. Mickey plans to blame the stab film's violence for causing his killings. His killing partner is revealed to be none other than Debbie Salt, aka Nancy Loomis, Billy's mother from the first film twist. In the scuffle, a bunch of bullshit happens. Gale gets shot, Nancy shoots Mickey, Sid uses props to take down Nancy in this elaborate sequence. Cotton arrives at the last second and shoots Nancy dead. Ultimately, Sid and Gale come out on top, climaxing in 2 moments. A Pulp Fiction-esque 2 badasses unloading the clips into the baddie, and Sydney performing a double tap on Nancy. All's well that ends well. Dewey is alive, and Gale goes with him in the ambulance rather than film a segment. Reporters swarm, and Sid directs them to Cotton before crossing the quad, enjoying, at last, the daylight. Time for general admission, which is a segment of the show where we talk about how the film hit, and whether we were shaking in our seats. I think we both had a fucking blast, right?
A blasty blast on this one, yeah.
Yeah, it's... Talk to me about because, okay, you said already it's sort of critiquing on sequels and stuff.
Yeah.
This film opens with the most overt, in-text sort of reflection on the first film, where we have Gale's book about the first murders adapted into a film called Stab, making fun of the fact that Scream is kind of a shit title. But we've rewatched the sequences from the start of the first film in this film as set up for this film. And it feels like a shorthand way to not have to explain what happened. Like it's sort of, it's both in-universe kind of funny and dumb, but then also really neat storytelling where if you haven't seen the first one, you get enough here that you probably don't need to.
Yeah, I love this about these movies where it's couched within its own universe, but then reality at the same time, where it has this because if this was a big high profile thing that gets turned into a big, studio budget movie or whatever, it's going to get all this press and attention. I don't understand why, first of all, the worst cinema experience
oh my God.
of all time depicted in this film. And again, very tough to watch the beginning of this movie having seen Scary Movie because of how goofy
it feels. Yeah,
they portray it.
For those who haven't watched it, you're in a theater with Omar Epps and his girlfriend. I couldn't tell you what the character's name is. And they're watching the film, and he's super into it, and she's like, "Oh, whatever," and she's not really into it. And then he goes to the bathroom, and she gets really into it. And by the way, by the end of this film, or by midway through, I was doing what she was doing at my TV alone in my apartment. I was being like, "Don't do that! Don't go in there! What are you doing, Sid?"
Scream is bad for that too, because everyone in Scream, they don't run out the door, dude. Every cunt runs upstairs. They run, but and you're like, "Dog, run! Hello!"
That was Randy's rule in the first film, where he's like, "You run out the house, you never go back in the house," right? But what's really brilliant about Scream is they exert so much narrative pipe to show you why characters are running back inside or running back in the house.
Yeah, it does actually, yeah. Because it's hey, we know that these are the rules. We're still doing it anyway. Because, exactly. Sometimes when you're on the phone call, the signal starts to go. And you're torn between having to go further back into the house where the danger is to tell the people to come and help you.
On the landline, yeah.
Yeah, Scream is very much that type of stuff. But I mean, this, again, another crazy opening scene I love it, and at the same time, I'm like, no one noticed this. I know it's like going wild,
But like,
but
okay,
again,
but
this
everyone
is the thing
pretending.
that this is what Scream does. It makes you unsafe in the safest places. I'm in a packed
Yes.
theater surrounded by people. I'm unkillable here. Still gets
It's a
you
public
there.
space. It does require 112 jocks in Ghostface outfits, though, for it to become a viable
Yeah.
cover. Is
Yeah.
the thing.
It really does
There's a
require
lot of
cinema pandemonium, which again,
Yes.
why is this movie so popular? Why is it so popular? Because again, we've had movies and TV shows and stuff based off of real life murders and killings and things like that. But like, I suppose when you think about the university students that were killed in their house, like I think this was only like a few years ago, maybe a year ago, something like that. And one of them like physically saw the dude and like came like one-on-one to him as he was like leaving. And I guess like he left it. I can't really remember the details. I'm not really like too familiar with it. But like that case was huge. Everyone was talking about it on social media. People were like, deep diving, trying to find this guy in real time and stuff like that. So I get there being that like a buzz around it, but like a movie, a cinema movie at the cinema.
But it's about their film. So are they just reflecting on the fact that Scream was such a big hit?
Damn, dude. Probably.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's them going, everyone fucking loved Scream. They loved how salacious it was. They loved, like, even though it's a commentary, they loved that all this murder stuff happened and it was gory and you get to see the tits and all these things. And it's like, but actually, maybe Scream is bad. And like, this film feels a lot like it's working through this idea of being a film that is a commentary on its genre that became popular and got to a level of success where people are no longer interested in the commentary on the genre. They're just taking it on face value as a film in that genre. And so I think it loses that nuance, and you get these dude bros who just think it's funny to lunge at you with a plastic knife in the outfit. They're like missing the point of the film, and I think that's like, I don't know, if I had to like throw a dart in the dark, right? It's a film thinking about what it means to be a franchise in this space, having made the first film a film commenting on being a film in this space.
The many layers of Scream. Yes.
It's great. On the note of reusing stuff, was there a point in this film where it tipped over the edge, or do you feel like they did enough creative stuff with it? Because a lot of it's just reused concepts or sort of like kind of remixed. Like, I would say this is a remix rather than like a remake, right?
Dude, I mean, there's so many little bits about like, the Derrick stuff. Is Derrick, do we trust him? That's a pretty fucking superficial cut that we get on our arm there over the Omega Beta Zeta house. You know what I mean? Like, which again, that whole scene, very Black Christmas with Cece. She's the DD. She's the sober person. Gets the call, losing the signal, needing to walk into the house to like get the signal back. Which I thought was great.
While, might I add, Nosferat-Who is playing on the TV. She goes, our motto is drink with your brain. And as she says that, the phone rings. And the whole time where the sequences where she's trying to leave and she come back, it's the phone. As she gets murdered, it's Nosferatu playing, and it's the first kill of Nosferatu. And I was like, let's go.
I thought there was this really cool shot, like after that scene, it's Sydney walking out onto the street and we're seeing all the police and the news. And there's sort of this brief moment where like you see the like fear wash back over her face where she's like, oh, fuck, like this is happening again. Because like this university, it's not like near Woodsboro, is it? This is like somewhere else in the country.
Yeah, correct. And the added detail, like, I just want to say, first of all, before we move on from Cece's killing, I jumped 3 separate times. Like, there are 3 separate jump scares that got me every time. It was the roughest shit ever. And yeah, you're right. As she comes out, you get that brief moment where you see it wash over her, and then Red Right Hand kicks in, but it's really quiet. It's not like in the first film where it's like big and bombastic and like...
Yeah.
It has a much more reserved nature to it that I really enjoyed. And yeah, like, seeing her suddenly realize this is real, it's just great acting. And like, Neve Campbell doesn't miss, but like, it's really a standout moment for me.
Derrick getting attacked, and in the way that he got attacked, like,
so sus.
And then later on, I think Randy even says like, why would you go back into the house? You know, like what do you have to gain by going back into the house? Like when he shows up to Sydney, and then, you know, the killer's inside and then Derek runs in. We don't see the, you know, the sort of the kerfuffle or whatever. We just see him on the ground with this like very superficial scratch, which again, Randy says later that he's pre-med and it's, you know, this very surface level scratch happens to miss like, you know, all important veins and arteries and, or, you know, all the different important stuff in your arm or whatever. So even they're sus on him.
But Nikki's also pre-med.
But we forgot about Mickey.
So like it's one of those things of like out of context. I'm with Sid. I'm like, this guy, like I don't trust this guy. But also he doesn't seem shady. Like and like he's tuned into Sydney's trust issues as well.
It's so, I mean, we'll get to it at the end, but like it's kind of sad.
Sad. I was on Derek's side until the Top Gun moment where because my notes just read, I want to crawl out of my own skin, and it's all in caps. For those, it's so hard to explain. So in Top Gun, there's a really famous sequence where charismatic actor and sex icon of the 90s, Thomathan Cruise, he goes to a bar with Goose, and they're trying to pick up women, and he picks up the microphone, he starts singing this very, very famous song at the time, and he's singing it to this woman, and it gets him a drink with her, and then sex happens and whatnot. Something you'd never see Thomathan Cruise do these days because he's a weird alien man, but it's a replication of that. It's kind of a, you know, a joke on that. And the way it resolves is, you know, he starts singing it and the entire college is clapping and hooting and singing along because it's a famous film at that time. And it concludes with him giving Sydney his Broseph necklace.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like 10 Things I Hate About You when Heath Ledger sings the song, you know,
on the bandstand.
And it's this moment of like, and how this read to me in this, because again, it's like, I don't trust Derek. Fuck Derek. You know what I mean? In my mind, off the bat, Derek's the killer. Right after he gets that cut on his arm, I'm like, hello? We have the killer in our midst. It's Derek. When he pulls out the little dance maneuver, I even filmed it and I sent it to you, and I was like, this is bullshit, dude. This is clearly a ploy. This is him offering himself up on the social altar of embarrassment. Yeah. You know, showing his dedication to Sydney, win her back around, win her trust, perhaps. Suspicious.
This is
also,
the great.
Here's my cool frat necklace. That's important later.
This will be plot critical. Pay attention. I guess Sid touches it quite a lot, so I get that.
But I like that it was this little thing to get him into the position that we need him in later.
Yes.
For the story, which again I thought was great. But yeah,
it's good. It's really good structural storytelling, and he lacks the charisma to sell it. And the performance is perfect because it comes across as weird and flat and kind of needy, right? Whereas you think about Heath Ledger, he just oozes charisma when he's doing that, and the security guards, and he's still dancing when he's running away.
Yeah, he's like so dancing around them. Yeah, exactly.
It's so charming, and this to me is like a really clever director understanding how to get the right performance out of this actor. Where it's like you could ask him to give you more charisma, and you'd be charmed by it, but he gives just enough that you're like, ooh, dude, I don't know about this.
Is this some ill-advised dumb fuckboy frat thing where he's like just like, you know, making a bit of a goof of himself, you know, trying to maybe make his girlfriend laugh or smile or something like that? Or is there something more to it that we don't know about? Because again, we have trust issues with our boyfriends in Scream, right? We can't trust our boyfriends in Scream.
Yeah. Me and Sid don't trust our boyfriend.
It's just enough where it's like, is this calculated and he's hiding something? Is he putting this on? Or is this like a genuine dude, you know?
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, we find out later. He is a genuine dude.
And the worst part is the film sustains this balance. I mean, it's brilliant storytelling. It sustains this balancing act the whole time. It's not till the very end, literally when he dies, that you go, oh, he was a good dude.
Yeah. Dude.
Like,
that rocked me a little bit because I was like, wait a minute, Derek's we'll get there anyway. We'll get there.
Yeah. Well, wait, there's lots of pipe to come, but yeah, that I just think like as a moment in a film to be a film that's commenting on horror films and it's commenting on itself, to then have the genius to bring in this other reference and have it land flat on purpose is like chef's kiss. Just writing at a baseline level and then making that writing come alive on the screen and picking the right takes. Like it's a scene that works so well and it achieves like 10 different things at once. It's pretty spectacular.
I did love that. I think it's Randy and Dewy are sitting in like a cafe or something like that, and we see a clip from Stab play on the TV, and it's Luke Wilson playing Billy Loomis in a shot-for-shot recreation of a scene from the original movie.
Worst haircut in the world, by the way.
And then Randy just really quickly at the end goes, I'll wait till video, and then turns to Dewy and then engages in the conversation with him. And I was like, wow, perfect. So
give me a Randy prequel where it's just him being kind of a difficult person to be around because he likes films too much. Like, I would watch the shit out of that. Randy's great.
Randy gone too soon. And again, killed in a broad daylight killing.
In the middle of the quad, James.
Dog. Oh my God. Pulled into the van?
The reporter's van, no less. If I were Gale, I would no longer have a van because it feels like that's a real danger zone.
Exactly. And first of all, we're going to pull up to this park, the quad, to go over all of our docs of who we think it is. And the killer's just like, hey, fully watching ya. Hey guys, I see you right now, fully looking at all of yous. And they go, I know what we'll do. We'll split up. We're in the middle of a quadrangle, by the way. He says he sees us. He sees you two fuck off, right? Giving him just enough distance. Dude, so annoying. Randy's death in this, really good, really scary. Daylight kill, so very scary. But again, so there are some things in these movies where I'm just like, are you fucking stupid, cunt? The police officers in this movie, are you fucking stupid, cunt?
Well, I think the answer to that is like, I think history since has proved yes. Stupid and racist.
What did you think about the scene where Gale is in the police station and they're sort of uncovering the link between all the victims? They have like the names on the board and it's Maureen Evans, the link, Maureen Prescott, Phil Stevens, Stephen Horth, who is Casey's boyfriend who gets killed on the porch in the first movie, and then Cece Cooper, whose name is Casey Becker, the first person to get killed. It's all of these like little links between like, Phil Stevens, Stephen Horth, the guy that gets killed. All of these little things. What did you think of that? I thought...
I think you can tell from the way I wrote the summary that I was very judgmental about this as like a storytelling choice. But I called it some Sherlock Holmes bullshit. In truth, right? Here's what I actually think. I think that moments like this in stories, you have one of two options. You can go for something credulous where on a rewatch, you go, is she serious? Or you go for something like so complicated that it requires the audience to have paid attention the whole time. This to me feels like a really good balance and a hand-wavy moment of like, we need to prove that it's connected. And this is an easy moment to prove it because Gale wrote the book on the murders, right?
Yes. It's not as obvious enough to be... It's not the worst thing that they could do, right?
No, it's not like the first letter of everyone's name spells a word, right? Like it's goofy.
Yeah. The geolocation of each kill, if we transcribe the latitude and longitude into letters, we spell...
Exactly.
Maureen Prescott.
I think to do a rewrite live, the thing I would change is I would change the specific details to let her get there. Like, it's the fact that she sort of circles the name and stuff. That mechanistically feels right because you can see it on film. But I think the details they're choosing to focus on make it feel goofy, where it's like, well... Like, if you think about who the killers are, is that Billy's mom that's deciding that? Is it, like... Is it Mickey? Like, there's sort of there's a internal consistency that is broken by it becoming too specific, right? I think if it had been, look at the the first murders happened at a frat party or like at a party, and like, you know, like there are other ways you could do this without it feeling so mechanistically specific that make you go like, is Gale even that good of a reporter? Like, she was kind of wrong the whole time about the previous murders.
No, she isn't. We've established that, okay? So the fact that she comes in and sort of like, you know, what's that scene where like Russell Crowe's character is like writing on like a board and he's like writing out all these numbers or whatever and he can like solve these puzzles in his mind. It's that she comes in, she's like, Maureen, Stephen, Casey, those are all the first people that killed. It's like wow, you got there really fast and with no effort whatsoever.
The Goodwill Hunting, you know, Will walks up to the chalkboard in the hallway.
Yeah, 100%.
No one can solve this, and then he's just like,
yeah, I'm surprised she didn't just come up and stick Mickey's face to the board and be like, this is the link, and I've already solved it. Oh, and by the way, Billy Loomis's mum. Just going to do a little arrow. Also, Billy's mum connected. I guess we have to assume then that Mickey is... Because when he's in that film class, he's like really, you know, like arguing it out and stuff. This dude is like into movies. So we have to assume that he was the driving force behind. He's like, and we'll link it back to the first ones and it'll be a sequel. He's like, that's my little side project within the project with Billy's mum, but that's just for me because I know movies and stuff.
Or do you think that he heard about the film coming out, read the book, and then got in touch with the mum and was like, it's revenge time? Mama Lumen.
We get to that. We'll get to that later because it's revealed how they become connected.
James, I was so fucking wigged out by the end of this film that there are details that just like went over my head. We'll talk about it in a... This is, by the way, this is every podcast I ever record.
I know, it's so hard because like even for us to say like, hey, you know, they figure this out, they see the connections, Sydney tells Derek to fuck off. Is it for your safety? Is it because I definitely don't trust boyfriends? And then, you know, we have this woman sort of like hounding Gale, who is also a reporter, who's super annoying, extremely suspicious. Then we have the scene where she's like feeding ideas to the press, saying Dewy is sus. You know, they're repeating the Woodsboro murders. The killer could be from Woodsboro, could be Dewy. You know what I mean? Like, and then we later find out that's fucking Billy's mum. So it's hard to sort of like talk about the movie chronologically while we also know the twists at the end.
Yeah, the key thing I want to, because where we sort of left off was, I guess, Sydney being attacked. There's a few details I want to get through before we kind of move to the then ramping up toward, you know, I mean, Randy's death and then kind of you know, the dominoes start to fall of the plot and how it all ramps up to the finale. Something I really like is when Sydney gets attacked, I noticed something for the first time. And I realized this was in the previous film, but I didn't pick up on it, which is the reason all these ghost-faced motherfuckers, and I deliberately in my summary try not to use ghost-face because we don't have a word for it in universe yet, but all these ghost-faced killers, they keep barreling into furniture and shit because they can't see anything because of the mask.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's why they always feel so kinetic and like, and it's why our heroes can keep getting away, because this mask is so restrictive visually. You have, instead of your periphery vision, you have these two dots you can see out of, plus there's a hood and there's a robe. Like, it's just such a good detail that levels the playing field between these linebacker college dudes and the regular people.
Right. Yeah.
I love that.
And that is poor mask design, you know?
It's not good cost. Yeah, if you're going to pick well, here's the thing, though. If you get a really detailed costume that's going to be good for murders, that's going to be a very narrow niche? Or the costume that you can buy in any convenience store? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's sort of a trade-off.
Well, initially they wanted the mask to be the Halloween mask, which is who's the fucking guy from the very old Star Trek? And he's like the captain.
Oh, God. You're talking about Kirk, right?
William Shatner. Okay.
Yeah, the Shatner mask, right.
Exactly. So they wanted to use the Halloween mask, which is the William Shatner mask, but they ended up, I guess there was a mask made of the Scream painting, the like
that's exactly
Munch,
what it was.
Like Scream painting. And that's what the mask is. But again, I mean, whoever's designing this mask, guys, please,
can we fix the... Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like not just for killing in, but like, you know, if I'm going to a convention, if I'm cosplaying, these are health and safety concerns.
You know what
just
it
something to
needs?
think about for mask
You know how
designers.
like on a motorcycle, they have those like little mirrors that are like convex that let you kind of see. With one mirror, you can see behind you and in front of you. I think the mask just needs two little arms with little mirrors, so you can kind of see what's all going on.
Sounds a little bit like cheating to me. And the killer in this movie did wallbang that guy, which I thought was a bit wall hacks. So
that is a bit wall hacks.
I don't know how OP we want to make the killers, but sure.
Yeah, it's like they're already doing IC jumps. It's like, what's next? Now that's a reference that only people that played games in 2010 will understand.
Okay, perfect.
Let's sort of move on swiftly from that reference that was for a very narrow portion of people. Now, James, let's talk about. Can you talk about Randy's sequel rules? Do you have those noted down? Are they detailed enough for us to talk about?
Number one, the body count. It's always bigger. We've always got to have more kills in the squeak
So
wall.
true.
Number two, the death scenes are always much more elaborate. I don't know if I would say that the kills were more elaborate.
James,
in this
Gale
movie.
watches Dewy get murdered in front of glass, but he's
Please.
actually not dead.
We will get to that, and I am filled with a white hot rage about that.
It's horseshit, but go on.
And number three is never, ever, under any circumstances, assume the killer is dead. And we aren't doing that because we know that there are at least several more Scream movies to come.
There's at least more than one.
Yeah.
How many weeks are there till Halloween? There's at least more than 3.
Well, there's 6 Scream movies, and this is the second one, so four weeks to go.
So when I said at least more than 3, I was correct. So
That
check
is
yourself.
true. That is
so
true, actually. Yeah.
What's your attitude, James? Are you just still feeling pissed about the fact that I beat your quiz at the start?
No, I had forgotten about that. So thank you very much for reminding me. Appreciate that one. And very much like Sydney, I am choosing to, while I am going through a difficult time, I am choosing to believe that the show must go on.
For sure.
Like when Sydney, she's like having that chat with her play guy, who, quite frankly, let's face it, he wants to keep her in the play for his own selfish reasons. Okay,
yeah,
he's got a story that he's trying to tell, and that's why he's like, hey, sometimes you've just got to like push through. And yeah, I know you're being pursued by a killer right now, and it's like a whole big thing, and like the traumatic past of the murder of your mom and the guy that potentially killed her getting out of jail, and it's this whole big media circus, and the killer's out again, and he's after you. I know that's like what's going on in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But I do need you to stay in this fucking play because I don't have an understudy. So, highly killable again.
It is important to note, I said this in the summary, but it's the Orestia play. It's the second act. It's Agamemnon, which is specifically the play about placating the Furies, right? So Cassandra like betrays the gods, and she becomes like the target of the vengeance of Zeus and his. Well, she did it for a good reason. And becomes the target. So that's just you're gonna get canceled for that one.
Did she make enemies with the gods, dude? Because
yeah, by saving a bunch of people, because Zeus was like condemning a bunch of people, and it's like
gods are pretty.
So it's
gods are pretty sick though. So
that's kind of does seem to be the takeaway of the Orestia play. Yeah, by the end of it, by the third one. But I would say this is just for like theater geeks. But the fact that it was the Orestia play and it was Agamemnon, like I was a geek and I was like, I know this scene. Like, you know those moments in film where you're like, this is just for me. It was one of those moments for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Where I was like, they cooked this one up for DMAC.
Yeah, I thought it was probably a little bit short-sighted of Sydney to, again, so soon after dealing with, again, because we had traumatic death of mum being murdered, then we had her trying to be murdered, and now we have her trying to be killed again.
Yeah.
You didn't think that like being in a play where you were going to be surrounded by people stabbing at you wearing masks wasn't going to trigger something? This is the craziest performance choice of all time. You couldn't do like fucking, I don't know, a Sound of Music or something?
Oh, well, she's not the director, James. What, you want to go to the director and make a special occasion for me? She's trying to get cast.
Yeah, but she clearly chose to like sign herself up to this play, and I'm just saying crazy choice.
It's crazy
That's
that
his
you
choice.
think there would be other play. There's one play a semester. She needs that theater credit, James. What are you talking about? She didn't choose
Bad
this.
choice. Bad choice. Highly killable.
I don't disagree. It's a bad choice, but it's crazy to put that on Sid.
I do. I put it on her.
That's
wild
insane.
choice to make. Wild choice to make.
It's fucking victim blaming over here.
We have that. She like sees the killer in the faces of the people wearing masks, stabbing at her again. Hello, traumatic things happening. This is dredging up bad stuff. You shouldn't be here, but it's cool.
Did that really happen? Or was that her imagination?
It's her imagination. That's her fucking PTSD from mum kill plus her almost killed plus all of her friends killed plus her being killed again.
Plus boyfriend murderer.
And then Derrick shows up right after and he's like, hey, dude, I'm your fucking chaperone to take you home. And she's like, oh, well, dude, where's Randy? Which again is super sus, Derrick. I want to be Team Derrick in this goddamn movie, but Derrick keeps doing things that make him seem suspicious.
He's not helping himself, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And when she's like, Doug, fuck off for a second time. He's kind of a bitch about it, but he's trying to be understanding.
I think he does. He's like, I'm supposed to take this well, right? And she's like, yeah. And he goes, okay, I'll try. Like
he's a little bit snarky about it, but he's trying. He's like, hey, because I'm innocent, dude, and I'm trying to protect you. I want to protect you. You keep pushing me away, and it's making it very difficult. But sure, all right.
But also,
I'll try.
I'll do my best.
Exactly, because he's understanding, and we love Derrick, and we're Team Derrick.
Which makes Derrick more suspicious in the moment.
It does.
Do you know what I mean?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm like, Derrick, are you hiding something, brother?
I'm going to be honest. I didn't fully believe and trust Derrick until he was killed.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't believe either.
Awkward.
Hey, Derrick, I hate to be that guy. That might reflect some aspect of your personality you need to look at.
That's on you, dude.
That's on you, dude. That's not on us.
And then, obviously, we get the Randy scene. Randy being killed. Rips the Randy.
R.I.P. Can we talk about the best character in this film? The new camera guy, please. The funniest character in this film, who has absolute banger lines like, gutted, slashed, the guy ain't in the union no more. You know what I'm talking about. Absolute, perfectly written character. Being like, hey, Gale, this is fucked, actually. Yeah. Gale, just checking it. Just my weekly check-in, my weekly one-on-one with you as my supervisor. This is fucked.
Yeah.
This is fucked and you're fucked.
I only got one thing on the agenda today, and that is shit is fucked, okay? I am really quite sick of being the voice of reason around here. I don't know why everyone else isn't on board with protecting ourselves from a killer who calls us like every goddamn 6 seconds.
He's like, while you guys talk about all this murder shit, I'm going to go get donuts. And then by the time he comes back, Randy's dead. And it's like, yeah, he was right. You guys shouldn't be here.
Yeah, and it's this like, hey, guys, I don't want to be a dick, but I told you so.
But did I tell you or did I tell you?
I told everyone so.
I told them so.
What did you think about Randy's death? Other than it being great, because it's scary, it's broad daylight, he's on the phone to the killer, they're all running around, Gale and Dewy running around checking people on phones. Are you the killer? Hello, who's this? Well, this doesn't sound like the killer at all. This sounds like this woman's friend, probably.
Dewey jumps off a retaining wall and tackles a kid. It's great.
Yep.
Also, we haven't said this before, but Dewey has nerve damage. So the left-hand side of his body, so his arm and his leg, don't really respond properly.
Yeah.
That's a crucial detail
in the back.
for later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what do I think of Randy's death? I like the fact that he's like, the kills have to be da-da-da-da, and then he gets killed in the same way that someone died in the first film. I think that's really cute to me. He gets killed in the same way that the cameraman dies in the first film. I thought that was like a cute detail to me.
Yes. And it's
confident.
Is it the same van?
It's the same. I think it's a different van, but it's the same news station. But he's goading the killer. He's like, and this is what I love about it. He's like, do something original, you fucking hack. Like, this is lazy as shit. And then he dies in the same way as the first film. It's the film being like, yeah, but you still love it though, don't you? It's like, oh, are you gonna bitch and moan? You're gonna bitch and moan. Oh, it's a repeat. It's a repeat. And then it happens, and you're like, let's go. Like the film knows so much what it's doing. And I love
I
that
don't want to celebrate the deaths of these characters that I've come to know, love, and enjoy.
But if I had to.
But stop killing them so fucking cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, but if I had to. But R.I.P. Randy, I would have loved to see him in the rest of he's sort of he's got a big old crush on Sydney, right? We haven't said that yet.
Yeah. Which I thought, because he says that to Dewy essentially, where he's like, this unrequited love or whatever. He has this sort of like,
he says he's lovesick.
Yeah, he's got this crush on it, which I thought is kind of weird that like you've like followed her to this university to go to the same university, dude. All right, it's a bit weird. I think it's Randy now.
Men have done more for less reasons to sleep with a woman. I think it just speaks to the fragile male psyche, if I'm being honest with you.
And then we get, it gets pretty polarizing because we go from one of the cooler moments in this film to Sydney gets taunted by the lamest "you're gonna die" instant message at the library, and the police are like, "Oh my god, an instant message that says you're gonna die! Quick, come over to this secluded alley hallway under the stairs or whatever the fuck."
While we don't look at you.
We're going to leave you here by yourself, all right? Don't let anyone come up on you or anything. We're going to walk around to the library, I guess. Anyway, in comes Cotton, grabs her, and is like, I'll tell you this. Cotton, not doing a great job of making us think that he's not the fucking murderer, dude.
Cotton doing everything he can to make us think he's the killer, truly.
At one point, he almost he makes this comment to Gale as if to suggest that she helped free a questionable guy. Yeah. He's like, not having second guesses now, are we? Like, about who he is as a person after she's helped get him out of jail. And it's like, dude, you are the most guilty, innocent man I've seen in my life.
I think it's possible, and this is what my notes reflect, I think it's possible Cotton might just be a giant creep, which is why Sydney thought it was him. And maybe he's done other crimes.
But he was having an affair with Sydney's mum.
If we're to believe it's consensual. Nothing about Cotton makes me feel like that was consensual. I like in my head, I'm like, the murder was separate. There was the rape and then there was the murder. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the reason that they suspected Cotton was because Sydney saw Cotton coming out of her house or the mum's house. I don't know if the parents are still together, but Sydney saw him come out. That's why she was like, it must have been him. But Cotton and the mum were having an affair.
Well, that's what Cotton tell. That's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's sort of like, I don't know if I buy that.
Oh, right. Yes, we can't trust the source.
Yeah, because he's a fucking creepazoid that seems like, I hate to say this about a character or anyone, but he seems like the kind of guy that if you're friends with and you don't say something to him early enough and you don't intervene as a man, he's the kind of man that would do that to someone, right? Like, he's the kind of guy that you would look at his relationships and his interactions with women and you'd sense that something was off and you'd be like, that's just him being
really him. Really interesting. The man who went to prison for several years for being convicted of murdering a woman.
No, and then
who we saw manhandling Sydney under the stairs.
That's what I'm saying.
A questionable gentleman.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, dude. He's creepy.
If he's treating Sydney that way,
yes,
there would have been warning signs before all of the other shit happened. And the men in his life did nothing.
Right. Telltale signs. No one said and did anything.
I think it's like you're at the bar with your boys and you're just like chatting about shit. And then someone's like, went on a date with such and such. He's like, I met this chick at this bar, and then I followed her to this other location. Like, I think it's probably more.
Okay, Joe from you, yeah.
That's what that's right. The energy Cotton is giving to me.
Yeah.
Is a guy who there were other warning signs that this stuff might have happened that we then see reflected in his interaction with Sydney. Yes. Where you're like I don't know about you, but I was like, I don't think I was standing up in my seat because that didn't happen until the taxi cab moment. But I was like physically repulsed by him interacting with Sydney.
Oh, yeah. And then later when he's being questioned by the police, he literally, he's like, what am I guilty of? Having a conversation with a woman or whatever? And it's
that's not a conversation,
please,
brother.
Please, a conversation is
Yeah,
not
you know
what
a conversation
you were doing.
where you hold a woman in place?
Yeah. Or when she tries to leave and you grab her by the arm several
Oh.
times, you're like, whoa, dude. Yeah, you know those chill combos that happen.
I guess what I'm saying is that Cotton might be innocent of the murder, but he's not an innocent man.
Exactly. He might be innocent, but he is not a good person.
Nor should you let your friends near him.
For sure. Or your mums.
Your mom, anyone. Honestly, anyone.
So
Cotton, bad bloke, I think is the takeaway.
speaking of creeps and creepy moments, Gale and Dewy with their little lovebird moments.
Oh, okay. So
It's not even like futsy clumsy. It's sort of it's awkward. It's really awkward
It's
in
really
a way.
awkward.
Yeah.
yeah.
The touching each other's hands. Oh, the bumping heads, you know, that kind of stuff.
And their confrontation early is playing on the VCR.
Them being in that room, watching they're like, oh, let's sift through the footage because like the killer has to have been, you know, at all of these places. So they're like, yeah, well, let's sift through that. And as they're watching it, another video starts that's not their footage. And this is the killer's footage. And then it cuts to a live feed of them standing in that room.
Now,
Oh my God, that's good.
it's one of the best uses of physical instruments in a film. Objects
really
in space
good.
and time. Now, my CinemaSins brain was like, did they have live cameras back then? But of course they did, because they beam up news broadcasts. So that quickly went away. But what I love about it is, as you say, they're watching these tapes of the crime scenes, trying to find common people in the crowd.
Yeah.
And the tape of Dewey kind of chewing out Gale at the start, the first time they interact, plays. And she's like, you're cute when you're angry. And then they just start making out on the table. Like, it's like I was like, do I need to leave?
These two are about to fully plow out in a university classroom.
They're going to fuck on this table.
And the only reason they don't fuck, just so we're all abundantly clear, is because Ghostface comes to kill them, essentially. He's
Gale,
like, oh my God, so sorry to interrupt you guys, but boom, shaboom, hit play on my tape.
Murder.
Please stop fucking. Watch my tape,
It's
please.
murder time. Dewey's in the process of undressing her. That's why she's not wearing her jacket in the rest of the film. Like, we're ramping up to fuck. We've gone from one kiss to fuck in like 5 seconds.
Yes, and
do you know what I mean?
And unfortunately, through this whole kerfuffle, run upstairs, we check in the room. He's not here. He's back downstairs somehow. Don't know how he got out of a locked room down the only exit. Anyway,
there's many doors into a lecture theater.
For sure.
Also, there's 2 of them.
Gale backs herself into like this like editing bay somehow. And just very briefly, doesn't notice the wall of glass behind her.
James.
That annoyed,
also,
that really bugged me.
She spends 4 minutes. She spends 4 minutes, and I'm sure it's in my footage of me watching this. She spends 4 minutes not picking up a weapon. She walks through an entire room of objects, and she doesn't pick up anything to defend herself with. And then the way that it climaxes is she's sort of on the other side of the audio booth. And Dewey's hammering on the glass, but because it's acoustic proof glass, if you hit it, you'll hear it. So that's whatever. But she's on the other side of it, and Dewey's like hammering it. And then as she turns and sees him, the killer comes up and stabs him, and there's blood everywhere, and it's really dramatic. And then she has this moment of like, I'm in the footage room. I have no way out. The killer's here.
Her only like thing there as well is she's like, oh fuck, and then like pushes something over the door, and then again, Scream fashion, arm through the door, slashing around, and she's just in there. She can't do anything. She doesn't have any way to defend herself or do anything like that. She just has to keep this guy out, and then she essentially just does this.
She hides. Yeah.
Like, again, there isn't an entire wall of glass behind. He sees
There's
it.
so many things to do. He knows
he sees me. He sees me at the door, right? So hold on. Yeah, he definitely sees me through the wall of glass behind me. I'm just gonna put my hand up. I'm just gonna duck behind this table, and he's gonna forget that I'm in here, hopefully, and then I eventually get to leave.
She would be dead if Sydney and Haley weren't leaving under police custody. Because that's what pulls
don't
the
get me
killer
started.
away.
Don't get me started on that, David. The fact that Sydney and her friend are being whisked away by police for her protection, right? And again, the worst police in cinema history,
bad at their
foiled
jobs.
by what, David?
Just a guy.
An elaborate ruse, perhaps. Maybe an elaborate roadblock. You know, some type. Maybe like, oh no, my car's broken down, and I'm dressed like an innocent person that needs help. Stabbed you when the police got out to help me. No, foiled by a red light.
There's not even a plan. I can't stress enough. They stopped the car. They've made it maybe 2 blocks. They stopped the car.
They just left. They've just set out.
And then a knife comes in the window and kills one of the guys, and then it's all over Red Rover, and then it's so hard to explain how ludicrous this sequence is, and yet.
Yes.
The thing that follows is the scariest thing I've seen on film in
nerve-wracking when they've got to climb over the... Well, before the crash, I don't know how many different versions of this movie there are. You know how, like, a lot of the time there'll be like a horror movie gets put out and they had to cut a bunch of like gory graphic stuff so that they could get the R rating or whatever the fuck. Like the version of Wolf Creek 2 that I saw at the cinema was completely different to the version that I saw like on VOD many months later. Like the VOD version it was so much more graphic and had like more stuff in it. So they clearly had to cut stuff out. So again, I don't know what version of this movie that you saw or what version, you know, people are watching of this. But the version that I watched, and I'm gonna put it on the screen, the cop on like the hood of the car, when he gets his head smashed in the crash.
Oh yeah.
First of all, it was wildly graphic. They showed you all of it, right?
The whole thing, yeah.
But not only that, as the car is pulling up to whatever these things are to crash into, you can just tell it's a dummy. Just laying down at first as it's like breaking through stuff. It looks so goofy. I'll like play it in the video and I'll zoom in so you can see it. And then there's this like single frame from inside the car. So that we see the guy's head on the windshield right before it gets like skewered by the poles. And again, you fully you can pause it and it's this dummy face just like this on the windshield. Yeah,
I didn't clock that because
good.
It was so
because it'll take you out of it, like it did for me.
Yeah, I was so bought into the fiction at that point, I didn't even notice.
And then obviously we get the bit where they're locked in the car. They've got to crumple the thing down. They climb into the front seat, and now we have to climb over the killer to get out.
James,
Cacking your dacks on this one, huh?
There's no way to explain how I felt in this moment. You'll have to just play the clip of me watching it because
I'm so excited.
I'm
so excited.
The complete lack of control and the fact that like when they crash the car, I know the setup. Like they crash the car and I'm like, there's a wall there. Yep. They're in a cop car. They can't get out any other way. And the fact that they play out the whole scene slowly,
really
slowly, suffer through the realization of the characters,
and we're like, oh, and we glance back, we check, okay, we're good to keep going, and we progress a little bit, and it's we do it in real time essentially.
It's a 3-minute. I'm probably even talking about it. There's like
I'm so excited to see this footage, and you will be seeing it with me right now.
Sydney pulls the pipe down to get so they're in the back of a cop car. So there's like a passenger cage, right? So because the pipe has pierced through the cop's skull, she's able to use the pipe to pull the cage down. She crawls agonizingly slow into the front seat. And then the door so there's a wall on one side and she climbs over the street and the door is locked. So she has to climb out the window. And it's just this like,
over the killer in the driver's seat.
Over the killer in the driver's seat. And you have to watch the whole thing. And it's torturous. And it's awful. And I was so scared. And she makes it out. And then Haley's like, I can't do it. She's like, you have to, like, come on. And then
she's
Haley
like,
does it.
It's cool. I'll open the door for...
Oh shit.
Haley, the door is locked. Holy fuck. You're now gonna have to climb over the killer.
So we watched the whole sequence again in real time. And at that point, I was standing on the sofa.
Are you still? Oh no, because you're filming this, so you're not in the usual pitch black headphones on.
Oh no, I am.
Okay. Oh, perfect.
But it's me like I'm trying to like leave. Like I'm sort of
yeah.
I'm trying to be not in my chair.
Physically remain there, but not to be there at the same time. Yeah.
If I could have recessed into the couch, that would have been my goal to protect me.
Yeah.
I want to explain a few things at like a structural storytelling level about why this works so well for me. So at a structural storytelling level, I think the key thing that works for me here is this is a scene that sets up a really simple premise where it says, okay, you need to get out of this car. We're delivered all the information we need to understand why this is a threatening situation before the characters realize it. So it's dramatic irony as we watch the characters gradually realize the position we know they're in, which is there's only one way out of this car, and it's through the window. But the thing that is fucking brilliant about it is there's dramatic tension as well, because we don't know the only way to get out is by climbing over the killer. You sort of have this like dramatic irony moment of we, the audience, know that the car has crashed and they can't leave on one side of the vehicle. But the dramatic tension is us realizing in real time, as Sid does, well, shit, the only way actually out of this is to climb over the killer. So it's this great like little moment of you think you've figured out what's happening. You think that you've like, oh, I've solved the moment. Like I'm smarter than the protagonist. Like I figured it out. Like that horror moment of like, why don't you just turn left or right? And then suddenly it hits you like a fucking ton of bricks that like, actually, there is no solution to this. Like even though you understand the pieces of how the scene is built together and the blocking and the fact that the car has crashed, it's not until Sid tries she tries the door that you go, oh my God. And the tension goes from I figured it out to like, oh my God, like this is scary. And it has this like sort of pacing sort of additive aspect of when the cop dies on the hood of the car, we get a single frame of his hand, he's deceased now, holding the pistol, his service pistol. And so there's this added threat of like, if this killer just gets out of the car first, he can grab the gun and it's all over Red Rover. But instead we watch this agonizing sequence of these characters realize the thing we know, and then we get the dramatic tension and the drop of us going, fuck, she has to climb over him. But the characters don't know the gun is there. So it's this great like inverse reverse moment where we start with dramatic irony where we know more than the characters. Then the characters reveal to us something we couldn't have known, which is they have to climb over him. They climb over him, and then as they do it and we're bored into this tense moment of like, fuck, is he going to wake up? We then also have the dramatic irony of the pistol on the hood of the car, and when Sydney walks away, you're like, grab the gun! So like it sort of has this brilliant sort of triple layering of tension where by the time that Haley gets killed, you're like, there's no way that they could have, it sort of solves the scene. It is truly like, whoever conceived of this and whoever directed this, I understand that it's all the same people, and the acting and the scene work and the cinematography and how clearly communicated it is. It's like just, I hope that this franchise never has anything like this again, because like the stress was a lot.
Then we jump from the car scene, the tense, agonizing David crawling out of his skin car scene.
Oh, big time.
We get the, Derrick gets taken away and hazed by his frat bros because he gave up his necklace, and you just don't do that. Okay?
You don't do that, bro.
Yeah. The essence of the fraternity must be with you at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And when you give it to a chick, you've committed an unspeakable crime, really. You've
You betrayed the bros.
You've put hosts before bros, and it's like that's not so not true. How it goes at the frat.
That's not. We ain't doing that here.
And so that's the creative, way that we get to put him in place later for the story, which we now snap to. Sydney, runs inside,
The
runs to
finale.
school,
Yeah.
ring a
showdown.
ding ding. Mikey is Ghostface. He's Ghostface to me, Reaper to others.
Reaper to moi. The music from Cassandra is playing right as she comes into the theater. It's a great moment.
Before that, really, she goes in and she's met with like Derrick strung up on this cross, and he's been graffitied, I guess.
That's a lot. I think it's like he's been done up in the same cosmetics as the crucified Zeus from the play. Now, if you'd ask me what the meaning of that is, I couldn't tell you. I just know that that's what happened.
Zeus on a crucifix? Sounds like some Jesus stuff.
But the play was written before. It doesn't matter.
Before Jesus?
Yeah.
The play is pre-Jesus?
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
It's like the Euripides era. It's from like the Greek tragic era. That was before Jesus was all about and stuff. Yeah. So
and is that why it was a Greek tragedy? Because there was no Jesus yet?
That's a great question, James.
Really makes you think.
If you know the answer to that, what's the email?
onewordpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. For the 0.01% of our audience who will know the answer to that. I don't think so because of how time works, but I could be wrong.
So you're learning a lot this episode, which is great.
Oh, just educating ourselves.
And then we get Mikey essentially trying to fake that he's working with Derrick to trick Sydney because Sydney is like, oh, better get my red hot boyf,
untie,
Jerry O'Connell off of the crucifix. I'm going to tie him down. And Mickey is essentially like, not so fast, dude. Is he my accomplice? And he isn't, because he then kills Derrick, who was
just a guy. Yeah.
He was innocent,
now,
David.
Both of us, as previously litigated, kind of believed he might have been a bad boy.
I thought he was a bad guy.
Right after they get shot.
Too suspicious.
He gets shot in that squib way that like the films of that era do, where like he gets shot and the squib goes it goes outwards.
I thought very briefly for a second, because where he gets shot is sort of near where the ropes sort of go across his body. And I thought, is this another fake out? And it would tie in with like movies, theater. We're at the theater, it's staged, it's not real. But no, worse than that, David. In that moment of Mickey killing Derrick, we're saddled with the realization that like, oh, Derrick was innocent. Derrick was innocent this whole time. Derrick was literally just trying to chaperone her home and be a good dude. Derrick ran back into harm's way to protect her because he was a good dude. Like, kind of heartbreaking.
Derrick, great boyfriend, bad timing.
Great boyfriend, bad timing, suspicious demeanor about him, which might have played into why we were sort of like hesitant to trust him. I did have a note. I'm not convinced by that.
I'm not convinced by that. I just think he lacked the charm to pull off the Top Gun thing. And I think Sydney just genuinely has well-founded trust issues.
True. And I did have a note here that Sydney's going to be fucked up even more off the back of this. She had boyfriend who tried to kill her, massive betrayal of trust in that whole scenario. And then now she is met with like, oh, I'm saddled with all of that baggage. I'm bringing that into this relationship. I'm a bit suspicious of this guy. He ends up dying now, and he was innocent. He was just like a normal, chill dude who like loved and cared about you, wanted to protect you. That's going to fuck you up even more, because it's like, you know what? I think I need to exist in a happy medium just by myself. That's nobody in my life, because I can't take another her judgment's twist, that bad. Betrayal. Yeah.
Now, none of my exes have killed anyone, but I'm in a similar place with Sid that we know of. I'm in a similar place with Sid where it's like all of these conflating different things in my life have been like, I just think I might be better off single. But like for that to be also backed by like all of this murder and death,
Yeah.
That, like, and I'm fucked up, but I think that would fuck you up in a particular kind of way. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
I would never
Hard to
trust
trust again.
anyone. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyone ever again. And like every time that you make a best friend, they get murdered. Are you kidding me?
I don't need that.
I don't need that.
You know what I mean? That's so much.
Yeah.
Think about all of the things that you have to deal with in your life. Now I'm going to throw that into the mix. So Mickey reveals all of his plan, which is very, the sensationalism of, 90s
All from the headlines.
news and media. It's all about the trial, he said, because he's going to blame the movies for doing it, which obviously, was a massive talking point during the 90s and early 2000s. The impact of music, movies, video games, making people do violent things. It was being blamed for, people being violent crimes, things like that. And then, which was obviously made worse by the Columbine shootings in 99, I think that was. Right. And then that then leads into like the parental advisory sticker stuff and all of the different, no, the video nasties weren't tied to that, but like all of, the parental advisory stickers and things like that with the famous clip of Dee Snider in court, essentially debating against Al Gore's wife. It was like a whole
insane
period of time. So that whole trial by media, I'm going to blame the movies thing. He's like, I get that like makes sense to you, dude, but that makes sense in the dumbest, dipshittest way ever. Because who's really going to buy that? I mean, I'm saying that now in 2024, in the height of the late 90s, I think people probably would have bought that. And if he maybe threw in something there about like the devil possessing him through music or whatever, and we could have blamed.
If you could add some satanic panic, that'd be great.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, it's definitely in the appropriate time period to be using a defense like that. But I still thought it was a bit of a long shot. And you're going to have like a lawyer who's going to be really good at like tying it in with that whole narrative. It's going to be a really big thing. I'm just saying it's a risk. It's a risk. But the difference here being this dude is looking for his 15 minutes of fame.
But even Nancy seems to know it's fucking dumb. She's like, this would have never worked. Are you kidding me? You're a fucking idiot. Like even the film is like, come on, dude. Like, this is, you're doing like you.
So true. Because you got to think, like, imagine he tells that to Billy Loomis's mum and she's like, yeah, sure. That's what we're doing.
For sure.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
You kill them and I'll figure out the details afterwards. How about that?
So we have that scene. Mikey kills Derrick. We're sad. He's revealing his big plan to Sydney, which is very Scream movies. These fucking killers, they love to monologue. They love to tell everyone about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Then we see Gale come in, and we're like, oh, Gale potentially there. Oh no, Billy Lewis's mum working with Mickey.
Wig comes off,
dude. And again, further proving the point. Gale, potentially the worst journalist in cinema history, because she doesn't notice that that's the mum of Billy Loomis, and she even says, I've seen Billy Loomis's mum several times. I have seen photos of Billy Loomis's mother several times. It's like, and you're mad, and she's just like, yeah, lose a little bit of weight or whatever, and change up my style. And it's like, that was enough to fool you.
She wrote a book about this woman.
I know.
She wrote a book about this woman. Are you kidding me?
We're simultaneously supposed to believe that she walks into a room and sees 3 names on a board and goes, bing, bing, bing. These are all connected to the first people murdered. But she doesn't notice the woman who's the mother of the guy that done all the kills.
Gale to me comes across as one of these people at the office who, like, you change your haircut. And she's like, I didn't recognize you. And you're like, but my face, the thing you use to recognize people, hasn't changed. Like,
and my giant name tag that I wear.
Yeah,
my name says James.
My name says my name is Pedro. That's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But Billy's mum does. She makes this sort of reference to, how she found Mickey, and essentially she makes this. She says this thing about like raising serial killers, like she was like she was shaping Mickey into becoming this serial killer, which made me think, is that what Billy's mum did to Billy? You know, was Billy the one who was like, that's it, I'm killing this chick's mum who fucked my dad and broke up my family? Or was it I think we're led to believe now it's the mum who came in and really maybe shaped Billy into being this serial killer, because she did it again with Mickey. And specifically says, she makes reference to something about raising serial killers and helping shape them.
Well, yeah, she sort of says, like, you know, they always say it's the parents, it's the parents, it's the parents, but like, what if it's just the kid that's rotten? Like, you know, she sort of deflects in that way.
And what if it's the kid that's rotten, and also this other kid that went on to do the same thing that my original kid did? Yeah, it's definitely not me. I'm not, you know, the variable here that's sort of like connecting all of these dots. Definitely not.
That's a real type of guy, though, to be like, to not realize you're the common factor in all these problems. To be like, it must be someone else, and you're like, you're the only constant, though.
Is it me? Am I the... No. It's Sydney's fucking mum, right?
Fucking mum.
And now it's fucking Sydney, because she killed my son that I raised to kill her mum. It's a complicated web, but like, she hates, and then I hate, and then I'm just trying to kill her dead. Okay.
It's the equivalent of like, why
she's taken from me my husband and my son. You will die now.
Why does every project I touch go wrong with, and why are all the clients really terrible? Surely it's just a coincidence. Like, oh, you might be like bad at this. Like, I think it's that where you're like,
whose fault is this? And it's not mine.
Maybe you're the constant, love. I don't know what to tell you.
And yeah, dude, don't they love to fucking yap about their grand plans? Then she starts yapping about Billy Mum's yapping about her grand plan. Yeah. It's revenge because Sydney's mum stole her husband, broke up their family, which is the same shit that Billy said, which again makes me think that she's like, because she makes this comment about like raising them right. So I think she's like kind of like the Mrs. Voorhees in a way, perhaps.
Which is a reference I understand for sure. So it's good for me.
How did you feel about Sydney taking out Billy's mum by being alone in a separate room and cutting cables on a wall that happened to just release things in a way that sort of guffed her up a bit?
With an axe that she then doesn't bring with her back into the room.
Don't need it, dude. Did you see the shit I did with the ropes?
Initially, I was like, that's kind of creative. And then when she enters back onto the stage without the fire axe, I went, what was the point of that?
You went, come on.
I was like, Sydney's smart. This is, okay, a thing I hate about these films is they will frequently, Sydney's the smart, fierce person who's going to stand up for herself. And then very occasionally, she has like a bouts of like character amnesia where she's like, I forgot that I'm being hunted by murderers. And we'll just discard a weapon or leave a moment where she would have been safe. That was one of those moments where I was like, Sid, where's the axe? Like, I might have been yelling that at my TV. I'm not 100% sure.
Sid, please, let's get the axe. Let's get the axe, please.
The stuff dropping, I thought, was actually kind of creative and interesting. It's a really creative use of like physical space where it's like Sid knows this set. She's been practicing this thing for like however many months, right? And this woman is like completely out of her element because she's been behind the scenes the whole time. Now she's on stage, James, and Sydney's behind the scenes controlling things, right?
Oh my God.
And so she's cutting these things down and she's dropping all these bombs on Billy's mother because Billy's mother is not used to being on stage in the spotlight.
Tearing away the facade.
Yes. Well, like, not even tearing away the facade, but like, but like proving that Billy's mother is not ready for the stage in a way that like Sydney actually is. Like, Sydney is both the main character of the franchise at the moment, also the main actor. She's the main actor in the play and in the franchise. It's like, I think it's a really sort of
go back to being the coach, Billy Mum. You ain't cut it. You ain't cut out for the fucking big leagues.
You don't
the main
got
stage.
The moves. You don't got the moves, okay? And what
Yeah.
I quite like about it is it's sort of it shows that Sydney has a mastery over something that Billy's mom doesn't. What irks me to fucking high heaven is that she does not take the axe with her.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like it, I think.
And then we get Cotton showing up to save the day
Oh,
or
God.
to beat Billy's mum to the kill, perhaps. We don't really know. But in true Cotton fashion, he's using this impossible situation, really, for Sydney to get what he wants. He's like, hey, I still want those fucking interviews and those guest appearances, dude. So how about you fucking help me do those?
What a piece of shit.
And I'll like help you not fully fucking get killed right now by killer number 2.
What a piece of shit. So Gale comes in, she gets shot during the reveal of Billy's mother.
Yes.
Billy's mom has Gale at gunpoint. She shoots her and she falls off stage, and I'm sure I was screaming at the TV, not Gale. You can't do this to Gale, because I love Gale as a character.
Oh, you thought she was dead. Yeah.
I was so stressed.
Yep.
And yeah, we get to this point where it's like, okay, Cotton comes in. He has the gun in his hand, and Billy's mom has Sydney, and she's kind of holding her back. She has her at knife point, right? And
Yes.
as Cotton comes in, it's sort of this like it's like a quid pro quo moment where Sydney has to think really quickly, like, what can I give you to make you not shoot me? Because if you shoot me, she wins, and then you get a bunch of publicity, and like she's like, I'll just, she says I'll do it. He
Billy's mum letting this conversation
crazy.
Them essentially say like, hey, like, here are the terms of our trade. All right. I'm gonna fucking kill the woman behind you, but here is sort of the minutiae of our trade.
Ridiculous.
So we're gonna do these. I'd be like, stop talking. Stop talking.
Shut up, or I stab you.
Yeah, exactly.
With my knife, with my big scream knife. That doesn't happen. Instead,
they cut a deal, essentially.
They cut a deal, and Cotton shoots Billy's mom in the shoulder, I think. And then the most bizarre 5 or 6 moments of this film happen where Gale's not dead. Don't even trip. She's fine.
Yes.
She was shot.
Really,
she's not fine.
Really quickly, because now that I know how upset you were at the potential of Gale dying, what did you think when Dewy got taken out? Did you think Dewey's dead? Were you like, I don't believe this shit?
I didn't care because I don't really care about Dewy.
Wow, dude.
Is that bad?
Yes. That is a legacy character who has saved the day several times. Pretty fucked.
I just have a crush on Courtney Cox. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I feel a type of way about Courtney Cox that I don't about Dewy. Like, so it's like,
fine. So we find out that she's not dead. You piece of shit. And then what?
I probably like yelled in triumph, I imagine, at that point. I haven't watched the footage back, but like at that point I was probably a little bit drunk. So like I probably was
screaming, like, "Get in!" to the TV. Yeah.
Yeah. I was excited that she survived. We go through this sequence of Sydney takes the gun from Cotton, understandably, and Mickey does the thing that Billy did in the first film, where he kind of lurches up and they just
springs back to life.
They unload the pistols on him and he dies. And then, for good measure, Sydney takes the pistol and double taps Billy's mum in the head.
Billy's mum, dude. I thought that was
crazy.
So good. She's like, just to be sure. Boom. Does Billy's mum in the head, which I thought... Sometimes I have to be like, okay, well, how are you going to explain that one to the police? You know what I mean? Like...
I was just checking, officer.
I don't know. I don't know if they have a law.
Is that manslaughter? Like, is that self-defense if you double tap?
Is the double tap excessive force? I don't know.
That's true.
Let us know. oneweirdpodcast@gmail.com. Is the double tap excessive force?
Was there double tap in films before this?
I actually don't know. This might have birthed the double tap.
I think it might be the first double tap.
Could be.
Because Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, that's like 2003, right? Like this might be the first double tap. The image of Sydney and Gale unloading their handguns with a very, very similar haircut they look like mother and daughter in a way that this film seems to want really badly, just visually, kind of works for me.
The concept of the double tap, making sure that the threat is fully neutralized by delivering a second shot or blow, existed long before Scream 1996. Okay, don't fucking put me on blast like that,
grandstand,
ChatGPT.
Jesus
Jeez.
Christ.
All right.
Yeah, wow.
However, Scream popularized its use in horror movies. All right, perfect. We're back in. And then the term itself became more widely known and humorously reinforced by Zombieland, which came out in 2009.
So because that's AI, what we're going to say is that it was probably Scream that did it first, and AI is probably wrong. And also, yes, Zombieland coined the term, but like, that's nothing.
Yeah, we'll say that, what do they call it when the AI makes something up? A hallucination. That's a hallucination by the AI on that one.
It's also like a squinting modifier. Like, you can't say like it existed well before. Like, you have to be like, you have to point to a reference and be like, this was actually, it wasn't Scream, it was this other anyway, we can get into how shit AI is later. One thing I wanted to say is what I fucking love about the way this film resolves is normally in a film like this now, and I said this about the first one, there would be like an epilogue where you kind of be like, where are they now? Like, how's it all resolved? This film ends the same way as the first one, which is just Sydney walking out of the set. And I fucking love that. I fucking love that it's just like, she just leaves. She's like, I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm done with it, you know?
She's like, Cotton, you take the interview. I'm outie.
Because, yeah, I mean, you know, we get the double tap on the Billy Mum. We get the music swelling. Who's that coming out on a stretcher? It's Dewy. He's alive. We're all happy. Some of us are happy. Apparently, David couldn't care less if he fucking lives or dies.
Could have been nothing to me. I did like that Gale showed a character development and she went with him into the ambulance instead of shooting the scene. I like that for Gale.
I thought that was great.
Don't give a fuck about Dewy, but I like that for Gale. So,
all right, which is now I'm seeing now that it's clouding your answers. The fact that you sort of have this weird crush on Courtney Cox.
It's sort of I've got the goggles on. Yeah.
But what I did like was Sydney praises Cotton for saving her. And in that moment sort of gives him the media attention that he was so desperate for. Because then he's like, guys, please, you know, like, this will all be covered in.
There's a time, and a place, and a cost, he says.
Yeah, he's gonna do interviews. He's gonna do a book. He's gonna do a movie, you know. And he gets the media coverage that he wants, which is great. And then we end with one of the worst songs in one of the worst songs ever, but easily one of the worst ending songs to a 90s movie. And I have it written here, this ending song is trash, far less bangers in this movie.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Embarrassingly low.
Do you think that they just had a smaller budget for licensing music, or that's what it feels like?
I'll say yes, just so that it doesn't. I don't want it to think that these were choices. I want to think that they were sort of painted into a corner financially.
Yeah. Because if they were choices, I have questions.
Is it time for you and I to survive the fright?
I think we got to do some segments before we get out of here, James. It's time for Survive the Fright, our famous segment. Again, I can't stress enough. We've been doing it for like a decade. Like any good horror setup, there's always a way out, and we'll find it if we can survive the fright. So I assume this episode, James, we are trying to survive the theater?
In my mind, it is this movie. The entire movie. How am I trying to survive the movie? And I quickly want to say here that I think you also, because I texted you about this, I think we both agree that we should only be able to use our solutions once for each movie. Because, so for instance, last episode, I used the buddy method, and I feel like the buddy method can really be used in every single Scream movie, right?
Sure.
So I want to not use that again, so we've burned that one. We can't use the buddy system.
Are you keeping track of these
again.
somewhere?
Absolutely, yeah. They're in the show doc.
Okay.
Yeah. We need all new solutions each episode, and for each movie, it then becomes harder for us to survive because we have less and less options.
Yes. Okay. Now, I think you've done two things for me, James. You've you've helped alleviate the fact that I'm clearly flagging because we've been going for 2 hours, and you've helped segue very nicely. I think that's just a thing we should acknowledge. Normally,
Perfect,
I'm a little more on top of it. I think for me now, because folks who know me will have watched me host a 4-hour podcast, but it's the evening. We've had a couple bevies. I'm flagging a bit. However, I've been thinking about this at length. Now, one of the biggest challenges with college is it's a big old campus. You're doing a lot of activities, a lot of extracurricular. You're trying to build up. I'm an actor. I'm a
thespian,
right? And I think for me, the way that I would survive this one is similar to how I actually did my university degree. I would only be on campus for my classes. And then I would sort of flee in fright of the other students. So I'd be sort of minimal. I'd be sort of going like minimal contactless delivery for my degree, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, limited and minimal contact with others. We're minimizing the time on campus.
I'd be zipping in and zipping out, and so the window for my attack would be very narrow. But I'd be on heightened awareness because it was so narrow. And so I'd be, unlike Sid, where she gets caught out in the theater practice, I'd be there only for essential moments. And so I'd be on like level 15 surveillance. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd be so tuned in when I'm there.
I love it. And I am going to play devil's advocate here a little bit, but because I want you to survive. Okay. That's the only reason why I'm picking holes in this.
Feels like you're only saying that because you don't, but go ahead.
I love the minimize contact. I think it's great. Similar to last episode, I did the disconnect.
Yeah.
The less accessible you are to people, the less likely you are
you're gonna say this is taken. Okay, yeah. Okay.
No. I'm not saying this is taken. What I'm saying is with the limited contact and limited time on campus, what I will say is that you still do have a schedule. So I would know exactly where you're going to be and when. And just briefly, if you were hoping to avoid the hustle and bustle, sort of get in, get out before, you might show up late, 5 minutes late. Everyone's already seated. That way you can get in safely. And then you might leave 5 minutes early, but that would put you in the halls by yourself quite a lot of times when no one else is around. And that's by your design. And I just want you to think holistically because Randy was killed again in broad fucking daylight in the quadrangle.
The opening kill of this film is surrounded by people. I don't think that makes a difference. I think this is like myopic, and I think this is you trying to poke holes in a good plan. I don't think being around people does you any good whatsoever in the Scream universe. I think this is you looking at a solution and embarrassing yourself trying to poke holes in it. I think that like the amount of people around you doesn't matter. It's the amount of time that you're not in a protected area that you're in control of, right? It's the amount of time you're in an area that you thought was safe that's a public area that isn't in your control. Now, granted, I would also, wherever I'm sleeping and living, I would install Sid's door and cupboard scenario from the first film.
Oh, yeah, with the one, yeah, and then you can't open it.
Because that to me, if we're being honest, that to me might be the perfect Scream solution. Because there's no way through it.
Yeah, I would say to watchers and listeners of this show, be wary of David's advice. Just because if we do want to cast our minds back to episode 1, he did suggest to wrap himself in pillows to protect him from their attacks. And at one point, he did strap himself up with heavy plates, quote, Ned Kelly style.
This is slander.
And which I said, hey, David, that really sort of like makes you a sitting duck. And then you sort of said that the overarching method for that was to be perceived as too much of a hassle for people to deal with. And I thought, well, it does make you very easily killable. And so does this, because while you were just rambling, and you're probably like listening to a fucking podcast or audiobook between classes, coming in and out early, boom, got you, by yourself, alone, in the hallway. Ding, bell goes off, everyone comes out 5 minutes later. What do we see in the hall? A dead David, blood everywhere. All I'm trying to say is that the buddy system, it was safety in numbers. And
This
two in the
is,
stall, obviously. Two in the stall.
I
Yours removes all of the buddies
I-
and puts yourself in highly killable zones at
This
very
is
specific
ridiculous.
times by yourself.
This is fucking ridiculous. The buddy system opens you up to your buddy also being one of the killers. This is absurd.
But we went over that because we said that that is punishment for making bad choices. Because why are you best buds with the killer? You have made poor decisions elsewhere over time, and it has led you to being friends with the killer. Shaboom, you're dead.
This goes back to our conversation about cotton. There are warning signs that some of us ignore or don't pick up on. There are people in our lives where we don't notice the warning signs. So I think the argument you're making is completely fucking ridiculous. And if you're so fucking smart,
completely valid.
What's your goddamn plan to survive the fright, James?
Easy.
This is okay. This is no. So okay, hold on. This is what happens whenever we do anything. Which is David's the butt of the joke because he can take it. He's the straight man. He can take the joke. This is so. Well, I didn't say.
I'm just saying. Did you put
a
lot of thought into these? I'm just saying.
This.
Did you put any thought into these? You know what I mean?
Did I put any thought into this? Yeah. No, I just prepared. I just prepared a show off the top of my fucking head and made a show doc and take notes and do segments. I just fucking off the top of my head. Of course, I put thought into it. I just figured that the issue with Sydney was her exposure because that's what the film tells us repeatedly. Randy's issue is he's in the middle of the quad. He's got exposure, right? Gale and the guy I don't care about, their exposure is they're in a fucking public room.
Dewy.
It's easily accessible.
Yep.
Yeah, it's whatever. The deputy, whatnot. Like, the murders take place because you're exposed. I figure I can limit that exposure and I can be kind of squirrely in that way. I'll be safe. And it feels like you've heard me say that and you've just immediately dismissed it. Go on. Sorry, what have you got, James?
Cece killed because she was by herself. Casey killed because she was by herself. Tatum killed because she was by herself. I'm just saying, and your pattern, your solution is to be by yourself. So I'm just saying, connect those dots in your own time and on your own dime.
That's not what I said.
But my solution for surviving the fright in Scream 2 would be, I noticed in this movie there were a lot of fake outs. A lot of fake outs being used in this one. And I feel, if I'm honest, I genuinely feel like I would have been faked out at some point and I'd be dead. So I don't know if I'd survive the fright on this one. But maybe the survival method is to be faking out more and harder than anyone else is all the time. Hey, want to grab a coffee at 2 p.m. tomorrow at Carindale? Sure. Psych. Went to Garden City.
Nice.
Shaboom. You know what I mean?
Misdirection, yeah.
It's a method that I'm dubbing the ABF method, which is always be faking out.
Okay.
So
I think one of the issues you're going to run into is you sort of patented that you sort of because I feel like your proudness of how good you are at stuff is going to overcome you, and you're going to sort of be telling people I'm ABF boy. I'm ABFing all the time.
Absolutely not, dude. I'm not telling a soul this shit.
I don't believe that for a second.
No way. I'm not. I'm really not someone that you know how all these people they monologue and they need people to understand their genius plan. That's not me at all. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm ABFing now. I'm ABFing till the day I die, and that's gonna be in a very long time from now because I will always be faking out. Okay,
so you're sort of zigging when they expect you to zag in a way.
100%, always, and I mean for innocuous shit with my friends, family, all the time. I don't think you understand the lifestyle shift that ABF is going to introduce to your life.
I was gonna say this will change your entire life
and all of your relationships. Quite frankly, always be faking out.
No one will ever trust you again,
and that's why there's this self-defense thing where I think it's rabbits or hares or something like that. They don't know which direction they're going to leap in next when they're being chased by a predator. And they do that. They're physiologically designed to do that so that they're not thinking about it, so that they can't reveal patterns in a strategy that their predators catch onto. That's the only reason that they survive is because they're always faking out.
That's not Okay, that I think you can.
They're
okay.
faking themselves out.
Yeah,
David,
that's
how much they've introduced ABF into their life.
That's what I was gonna say. It's not that they're faking other people out; it's that they're faking them. So I don't know that you could get to a level of like instinctual decision making where you say to someone, "I'll meet you for coffee here," and then without thinking about it, you turn up for coffee. So I think I
sincerely hope this isn't like our Harvey Dent flip a coin supervillain moment.
I think it would have
like,
to be for this
the
to work.
ABF eventually becomes at least down a fairly nefarious path where I think we become a killer.
I think you would need a random you would say to someone, "Okay, I'll get coffee with you, Carindale." You'd put a bunch of words into a random word generator. You'd jam them into Google Maps, and you just go to the first place that gets a hit. Like,
yeah,
I think this would undo you so quickly because the ask would be so great to be truly random that you would half-ass it after about a week, and you'd be like, "Well, it said, Malula Bar Beach House or whatever," and you'd be like, "There's a beach house in the city."
Right.
I think that
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But this is, and again, you're not quite understanding the power of ABF. Okay.
You're going to burn your entire life?
No, because what you're saying is, I use that as an example. Hey, 2 p.m. Carindale, went to get a coffee at Garden City instead, right? That's one example.
Insane.
You think that that's the method now. The method is that there is no method, okay? I tell you, let's grab a coffee at 2 p.m. at Carindale on Thursday. Where am I at 2 p.m. on Thursday? I'm on a fucking boat fishing, dude. Like, it's totally, like, not related.
This is...
You know? There will be video footage of me live streaming from my house. Guess what? Pre-recorded, dude. I'm at the movies, okay? You think I'm live right now streaming from my own house? Dumb shit, dude. ABF. I'm at the movies watching fucking Speak No Evil. You know?
This would requires
dedication and a lifestyle shift. It's a lifestyle shift.
No, it's not a lifestyle shift. It's a lifestyle. This is the only thing you get to focus on from now on.
Survival,
you have
baby.
nothing else. You have nothing else.
Survival of the fittest.
This is, you'd much rather have your entire life consumed by survival than living your life and maybe dying. This is insane. I will say this, James.
Yeah.
I think you would survive the fright, but I would question the quality of the life that you have afterwards.
There it is, guys. And the goal was to do what? I'm surviving, and where's David? Dead in a hallway after his first lecture, day 1.
At least I live life on my terms, James.
Accounting 101, 5 minutes before the bell goes off, David, a corpse in the hallway. Me, ABF, who the fuck knows where I am? But I'm alive, dude.
I failed accounting 101. And so did
same
61% of my class, and at which point I went, hang on. That means you're
this isn't us.
That's not how median like if 61% of us fail, that means like you've either taught us badly or your grading is wrong. Like surely 50% of us should pass, right? That's what
maybe he's pulling the
means.
ABF method. He was faking news all out.
Yeah,
you guys thought you were learning fucking chapter 3 macroeconomics. He was really teaching you chapter 7 balancing budgets. Very confusing.
The other idea that I had, which isn't worth doting on because it's embarrassing, is like,
okay,
could I do my entire college career in disguise? It's not really anything. It was just sort of the B thought.
I love this. This is a much better vein than dipping in and dipping out too early, highly murderable by myself. Okay.
Well,
if I'm a different person each time I come to school,
that's what I was thinking. It's
that's
just a lot
that's basically the ABF method. I love this.
It's a lot of upkeep. I'm gonna need a lot of costumes. Obviously, the beard has to go, but like to me at least, it sort of feels like that's a lot more. It would be expensive. It'd be a lot involving, but like if I just turn up to every single day looking different in a different disguise, I think I would last maybe 2 months before I ran out of disguise ideas. If I'm being honest, that was kind of my B idea. Like
yeah. Like, it was the day that David came to university dressed as Deadpool that everyone went, we know it's you, dude.
We know it's you, dude.
We know it's you.
You sound the same. We thought this would work?
you're not wearing a Deadpool mask. You're just wearing the rest of the Deadpool costume.
You're just in the skin tight spandex, but you're not. I can
You're
see
what's-
your
Doug,
all
you
of
stand
it.
out. You stand out like a sore thumb. Everyone can see you. There's 200 people in this lecture hall right now. We're all looking at you. Deadpool.
We would have loved you to have worn some bootcut jeans and a loose fitting dress shirt, and you would have fit right in. But instead, I'm looking at your dick and balls in this latex suit.
But what I love about that is, for 2 months, you have been faking
That's
people
true.
out, and then on this day, we we sort of like pan in on the class all sitting there in the
Yeah.
lecture hall writing their notes, whatever, and we see this guy that kind of looks like someone wearing a prosthetic nose and like a fake mustache, and then it sort of pans past him and then pulls focus on you sitting there wearing a Deadpool costume because we thought you were that guy,
Well,
but it's actually you're the Deadpool guy.
Now that
Again,
you've
no mask, fully you, David, in a Deadpool costume, no mask.
I don't know if I want to burn this idea in this recording because it's a good one.
Okay.
But let me just say this, and this doesn't count.
Okay.
This doesn't count for next
Oh,
episode,
good.
but decoys. That's all I'm saying. Now, it's time for our final segment, James. Nosferat-Who, which is a segment of the show based on the genre started by F.W. Murnau's 1922 silent film Nosferat-Who, A Symphony of Horror, where we each pick something in the film that is indelible to the horror genre or feels like it could only occur in a horror film. James, do you have a Nosferat-Who for us?
I do. For me, in Scream 2, it is when Sydney is in the theater rehearsal where she sees Ghostface starting to appear on the faces of the performers.
Mhm.
And it's that blending of, reality, maybe a hallucination. She can't tell what's part of the scene, what's real, questioning herself, questioning reality. I feel like that's very horror. Did I see that figure in the dark? Did I really hear that noise?
Right.
Classic horror moments, She's questioning herself. Can she trust herself?
And we're questioning the lens of the film. Are we seeing what's really happening? Right?
Yes.
Because it's
Yeah.
or is it from her perspective?
Is this real?
Right?
Exactly.
I think that's 100%. That is very horror, where it's like, am I seeing the truth or am I seeing from this person's perspective? And are those two things different? And if they are, how are they different? Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Completely agree. Mine, James, is you guessed it, you saw it coming, everybody. You figured it out. You had the read on it. It's the police car backseat sweaty climb sequence where there's an absurd number of things that have to come together to put our characters in this moment, and it unravels in this agonizing, slow, sweaty sequence.
Ooh.
And it's like, and then it ends, and then you're like, oh shit. It's not just that it happens, it's that it ends and you go, oh my God, the gun, where's the gun? It's this big dramatic sequence that ends with a moment of like, wait, actually, we're not good. Like we survived that, but we're not good. I think that to me is indelibly horror of the,
Yes.
you think about the first Alien film, right? When you think Ripley first escapes and she gets undressed, and then it's like, bang, false ending, second ending. That's a indelibly horror moment to me.
100%. Yeah. Oh, thank God we're safe. Are we actually safe?
Are we actually safe? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What a great, James, just to close our thoughts on this, what a great, I had such a good time in this film.
We did it. Had a rip-roaring time. Super excited to watch the third one. I don't remember the third one fucking at all. So that's going to be another fun watch for me. I really didn't remember a whole lot of the second one either. So I'm enjoying dipping back into these ones that are sort of like, even because I'm genuinely watching this one and I can't remember. I'm like, is Derrick a bad guy or is he a good guy?
Right.
And then it's fun in that way for me as well. So I'm enjoying it.
I think it proves these films as a mode of storytelling, as a sort of a franchise, if you want to use that word, which I hate, but if you want to think about this as a mode of storytelling of horror films, I think that not only does it give you commentary and comedy and things to dote on and talk about, but also think it maintains that tension, and it manages to be scary and tense, and it really makes you kind of sit upright in your chair throughout the whole experience. And these moments of levity and these moments of kind of mystery and things like that, they really put you in the mindset of trying to figure out how are they going to survive the fright. Join us next week for Scream 3.